Hello, I'm Toastmaster Carl Thormeyer, and welcome to Toastmasters Bay to Bay. Toastmasters International is a worldwide organization which trains its members to become better public speakers and community leaders. With over 12,000 clubs in nearly 100 countries worldwide, people have the opportunity all over the world to develop their communication and leadership skills. Here along the Central California coast, there are over 200 clubs in District 4 from San Francisco to Monterey. In all Toastmasters clubs, members follow a manual containing 10 increasingly sophisticated speaking assignments. Upon completion of the 10 speeches, members are designated as a competent communicator and may go on to more advanced programs. In a typical Toastmasters meeting, there are prepared speeches, peer evaluations, and practice in impromptu speaking. Today, two members from our district, one a newer Toastmaster and the other more advanced, will demonstrate these skills by presenting speeches from the manual with evaluations by two other Toastmasters. Our first speaker today is Connie Dimmitt. Now, Connie is a member of Surf City Toastmasters in Santa Cruz. Hi, Connie.
Hi.
And she's been a Toastmaster for 18 months. And she will be doing a project from the Competent Communicator Manual entitled How to Say It, where she will be working with words, selecting the right words and the right sentences. Her speech is entitled, China, Here I Come. China, Here I Come, Connie Dimmitt.
Thank you. Mr. Toastmaster and guest, 6 days from now, I will be on a plane heading for a country I have longed to visit since I read a book called The Good Earth by Pearl Buck many years ago. Of all the places in the world I've experienced in books, China is the place that whets my interest like no other. Not just because of the ancient and modern wonders, but also because of the character of the Chinese people. As I'm going on a guided tour, the only things I really need concern myself about are what to pack in my suitcase, and more importantly, what to pack in my mind. The suitcase is easy. I've traveled enough to keep it simple. The mental part is hard. I have discovered, however, a journey on the internet highway before a trip makes research easy, is faster than books, and for me, strangely unpredictable as to where I end my quest for information. I start my quest for knowledge with the Forbidden City. I learned that it represents a history of 5,000 years of Chinese civilization and was designed to symbolize benevolence, peace, and harmony. It was built over 500 years ago, and the entire compound was inspired by a Buddhist monk who envisioned it in its entirety as the center of the universe. He was the childhood tutor of the emperor who brought his vision to reality. It is no more an example of merely superb art than is our own Statue of Liberty. Just as the Statue of Liberty was designed to represent the ideals of our country and give a better understanding to the viewer of liberty, freedom, and democracy, the Forbidden City is meant to represent harmony as an ultimate principle of the traditional Chinese philosophies of Buddhism and Confucianism. Because much of the art we will see in China is art that was motivated by Confucian ideals, I decided to take a detour from sites I will visit and investigate the teachings of the sage Confucius. I just learned that, a quote I have heard all my life, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand, is from Confucius. I also learned via the internet highway that there is a new book with a modern interpretation on the Analects of Confucius written by a woman professor at Beijing Normal University whose name is Yu Dan. The LA Times in May 2007 headlined the story, "She Makes Confucius Cool Again." Her book has become a runaway bestseller in China, a sort of chicken soup for the Chinese soul. According to another newspaper article in the July 2007 edition of the Washington Post, she has reawakened an interest in this ancient doctrine of the Chinese meaning of life. Well, as Confucius famously considered a good woman to be an illiterate woman, wouldn't you know a woman with a PhD would put him back in the mainstream? Somehow, I think he would have loved it. Since Dan's book called Insights on the Analects will not be available in English until 2009, I couldn't read it. So I found an easy-to-understand children's book on the teachings of Confucius to learn more of his history and wise sayings. Stopping to read the wisdom of Confucius seems to work for me as I prepare for this trip. And to learn that as a country, they are rediscovering the wise teachings of the past, to me is encouraging beyond belief. One of the many endearing things I learned about the philosophy of Confucius is reverence for one's elders. Now that I have become an elder, this Confucian quote really speaks to me. Old age, believe me, is a good and pleasant thing. It is true. You are gently shouldered off the stage, but then you are given such a comfortable front stall as spectator. No one ever said it better than Confucius. As I embark on my journey to see the wonders of China, with my front stall comfortably located in the comfort of an escorted tour. Just 6 days to go. My suitcase is ready. I am still packing my mind, and I must quote Confucius one more time. He says, wheresoever you go, go with all your heart.
Well, thank you, Connie. That was a very inspirational talk. And the only one problem with your trip is you're going to miss the Olympics.
What?
They happened already?
It's over?
Or it's over. Well, you probably have a better shot at getting a cheaper room, I would think.
True.
Yeah. Well, you've been at Toastmasters for 18 months. And what made you join Toastmasters in the first place?
Well, I married into it.
Oh.
I never, I married a guy who was a long and experienced Toastmaster, and I started going with him, and I just fell in love with the club and the people in the club.
I think we all do that. We get involved, and the people become some of our best friends, wouldn't you say?
Right, absolutely.
And what did you hope to achieve in Toastmasters when you first joined?
I wanted to achieve an ability to speak without discomfort.
Okay.
Just to be comfortable when I get up to speak.
And have you achieved that so far?
Pretty much. It's getting better every time I speak.
Great. So you must have additional goals now that you've been in for 18 months. And where would you like to go from here in the Toastmasters program?
Maybe all the way. I'd like to really enter contests and win. I would.
Okay, that would really be great. And of course, you know, there's what we call a leadership track in the organization, and you can become are you a club officer in your club?
I am. I'm secretary-treasurer.
Secretary-treasurer, which means you collect the money.
I do. You're right.
Ah, keep an eye on her. Right.
That's how I afforded the trip, right?
You can get to China on Toastmasters dues. I want to know about it.
Okay.
Well, I think this is excellent, and I certainly want to encourage you to continue your Toastmasters career. And as you know, there's no limit to what you can accomplish in the Toastmasters organization. It's up to you, and we thank you for giving this talk today, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
Thank you.
We have an evaluator for Connie, and Connie's evaluator is Jennifer Stephenson. Jennifer is a member of Altera Innovators Toastmasters Club in San Jose, and she's been a Toastmaster for 5 years. She's an advanced Toastmaster and currently is Division F Governor, one of 8 divisions here in District 4. Jennifer Stephenson will now evaluate Connie Dimmitt.
Mr. Toastmaster, guests, and especially Connie, thank you so much for sharing your trip with us. I'd like to start by talking about your strength here in this project. The goal of the Working with Words project is to create mental images and pictures and choose your words wisely. Connie used words like the center of the universe to really get that in our minds, that Confucius thought they were really the center. She also used analogies. She had comparisons between the Forbidden City and the Statue of Liberty, and a book on Confucius with chicken soup for the soul. That helps the audience understand what she was talking about. One thing that I think could have helped the audience a little bit more was the introduction. She told us that it was going to be a story, but as the listener, it was hard to know what type of story it was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to be informational or what really was the goal. So I think maybe a little bit more of, I'm going to tell you about the research that I learned, might have been a nice addition to the story. And as you get more comfortable, you'll do what I'm not doing and actually move out and address the audience and be able to use your body more. But as a beginning speaker, I think this was a great choice of topic for this speech. It allowed you to talk about images and trips. You shared lots of research with us. Obviously, she's done a lot of research for both the trip and this speech. And the greatest strength is her sincerity. You can tell she really cares about this trip and the research that she learned, Confucius, and everything that she's learned by doing this research. I visited China a few years ago, and I wish I'd had some of this background. So thank you again, Connie, for sharing us the information about your trip, and have a great time.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I appreciate that evaluation, and I'm sure Connie will get a lot out of it. Before we listen to our second speaker, we have a special interview with members of the Lee Emerson Bassett Toastmasters Club, which meets at Stanford University. This club, which is called Club Number 33, is one of the oldest clubs in all of Toastmasters, having formed in 1935, which makes them 73 years young. Let's hear from them.
LEB Toastmasters is one of the oldest clubs in the nation. It was founded in 1935. It's named after Lee Emerson Bassett. He was a professor at Stanford University, and he was the original person who set up the club.
LEB Toastmasters is one of the largest clubs in the area. We have probably 60 members, up to 30 usually come into every meeting.
Every club is different. Some clubs are very small and intimate. You have a chance to speak quite often. Our club is very large, so you certainly speak less often than some other clubs, but you're able to gain a lot from the people that you watch each week.
We have members and people coming from all over the Bay Area. It's a very diverse club. We have people working in large companies and entrepreneurs and government and in private business.
I think what sets LEB apart is the variety with the membership. Being on the Stanford campus and the business school in particular, you have a very diverse group of people. Some students, some professionals from Silicon Valley, a number of attorneys, a number of other people from various walks of life. And everyone comes together and brings their own strengths and weaknesses. We have some members who have been in this group for over 25 years. We have some, like myself, who've joined within the last 6 months.
People are very friendly here. People go to dinners once in a while on a regular basis. Actually, we meet for some social events, birthdays, things like that. So there's a lot of going on besides just the meeting itself.
We have a lot of energetic speakers every week. Yeah, we've got some real characters here. Some people are just funny every week. Others are just very powerful in their approach. That's again one of the benefits. You pick up some skills from all the different styles of speech.
What brought you into Toastmasters?
When I have to stand up and talk about anything in the room that has more than 3 people present, I get completely scared, actually. And I realize I have to do something about it because communication is extremely important. We live in a world where we're full of people. I would definitely recommend anybody who thinks that they need presentation skills and speaking skills, which probably is everybody, to join at least some club and participate regularly.
I'm an attorney. I've worked at large firms in the past, and recently I've gone out to open up my own practice. And I realize now I'm going to have a lot more opportunities to be speaking in a public setting. within the last 6 months, I can certainly feel a progression. I feel less nervous when I have to get up and speak. I still feel my heart beating and fluttering a little bit at the beginning, but at least I'm not panicked the night before. Are you okay? I said, yes, I'm fine. Like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were drowning.
Well, that was really a great testimonial. Thank you. Let's move on and hear from our second speaker. Our second speaker today is Gopi Kallayil, and he is a member of I Feel Chatty Toastmasters, and that club is in Mountain View. Gopi has been a Toastmaster for 13 years. He is obviously a more advanced Toastmaster. In fact, he won the District 4 International Speech Contest in 2007. He will be delivering project number 9 in the Competent Communicator Manual, Persuade with Power, where he will try to persuade you to his point of view. His speech title is 6 Cups of Coffee. 6 Cups of Coffee, Gopi Kallayil.
There are 7 billion people on this planet. Half of them live on less than $3 a day. Less than what we typically pay for a cup of gourmet coffee here in the Bay Area. Ladies and gentlemen, that metaphor stuck in my mind for a long time. Is it possible to say no to a cup of coffee and have an impact on the life of somebody on this planet? That seems such a ridiculous idea that I dismissed it away and thought nothing more about it. And then a solution magically appeared in front of me. A San Francisco-based organization called Kiva, spelled K-I-V-A. Kiva extends microcredit loans to small entrepreneurs around the world. But more importantly, it allows people like you and me to participate by making small, tiny loans, as little as $25, as little as what we would spend on 6 cups of coffee. So I went to the Kiva site, kiva.org, took my credit card, and in 5 minutes I had made my first loan of $25. It was to a woman entrepreneur in Vietnam called No Chi Thung. She's 56 years old, lives in Trung Pa village with her daughter, and together they run an agricultural feeds business. They were looking for a loan of $1,200 to expand the business. When I made that loan of $25, I was thinking, how many months would it be before her loan would get fulfilled? But the power of the internet is such that when I checked the next morning, over the night, so many other people had responded to that loan request that by morning, her loan request had been fulfilled. I was so excited that the next month, I made another loan of $25, this time to a woman entrepreneur in Kenya, Esther Laboso. She lives in Kericho, Kenya, a 46-year-old woman. She's a widow, and she's raising 5 children and supporting them through a food grains business, a store in Kericho. And she was looking for an $800 loan to buy additional stock. The next month, I made a loan to a woman entrepreneur in Tanzania. And then the following month, to a group of 6 women running a tailoring business in Pakistan. I was so excited that a few days later, I was at a social gathering and someone asked me, "What do you do for a living?" And my response was, "I am an international banker. I extend loans to entrepreneurs around the world." Last month, Esther made her first loan repayment of $100 back to Kiva. And my share of that $100 was $4, the same as 1 cup of gourmet coffee. But there was something profound about the $4 that Esther paid me back. With those $4, what she was telling me and the other lenders was this: I don't need aid. I don't need charity. A little bit of financial support in the form of a loan I'll gladly take. Thank you very much. But I intend to repay you back. All these women entrepreneurs have a sense of professionalism, have a sense of dignity that rivals that of a CEO of a large corporation who takes out $1 billion loan from a bank and pays it back on time. What I realized from my experience was that with my 6 cups of coffee, I was allowing these women to stand on their feet, to support their families, to live productive lives in the community, but most importantly, have a sense of dignity. So my message today is very simple. With a small amount of resources, you have the power to have a big impact on the life of somebody on this planet. And my challenge to you today is very simple. With your 6 cups of coffee, what choices are you going to make today that will have a big impact on the life of a family somewhere? With your 6 cups of coffee, what choices will you make today that will touch the life of somebody on this planet? Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite an inspirational speech. I'm ready to take my wallet out right now. I hadn't heard of this program. It's an outstanding program. Congratulations on participating in it. Well, let's talk about your Toastmasters career. You've been in Toastmasters 13 years.
That is correct.
And what made you join Toastmasters 13 years ago?
Well, I wanted to improve my public speaking skills. I felt very nervous in front of audiences, and I knew that you had to communicate and connect with people in order to have an impact. So I wanted to make a difference in that aspect of my life.
And do you feel you've accomplished this during this time?
I have grown tremendously through Toastmasters, without a question.
So do you think you can go for another 13 years?
Absolutely. And now it's
Great.
become a passion. It's become an addiction.
It really is an addiction, isn't it? We stick around, and just stick around. It's so much fun to be a member of a Toastmasters club.
Precisely.
Absolutely. Well, I understand that you're so excited about it. You belong to more than one club, actually. You not only belong to the I Feel Chatty Club, which is located at your company.
That is correct.
Which is what?
At Google.
Google,
Yeah.
okay.
Right
So
here in
if I
Mountain View.
Googled I Feel Chatty, would the Toastmasters Club come up? You have to check into that when you go to work in the morning.
Absolutely.
All right.
The search engine works perfectly, no question. We make it.
Oh yeah, most of the time. All right. Anyway, well, that's good to hear. But the other club you are a member of is
LEB Toastmasters. that
LEB
meets at
would
Stanford
be?
Business School. Lee Emerson Bassett.
Lee Emerson Bassett. That's the same guys we just saw that video, right?
That is correct.
That
yeah.
was a good video. Pretty
one
good
of the
club.
oldest clubs in the area.
Yeah, nice meeting room too. I was pretty impressed when I watched the video. Yeah. Well, that's good. So do you have a lot of equipment in there that you can use, like PowerPoint, and can you give speeches in PowerPoint, for example?
That is correct. They have presentation equipment, they have
Yeah.
video camera, they record you each time, and the microphones, and it's well geared for any level of professional speaking.
Well, that's really great. I ask you that because my own club has a similar arrangement, and so it's great when you can have this equipment. And we take it for granted, don't we? A lot of clubs out there, they're lucky to have a chalkboard.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I'm grateful.
We're really grateful, absolutely. Now, I understand that your schooling is very worldly. Where did you go to school?
So I grew up in India. That's
India.
where I had my basic education through my undergraduate and graduate school, and then I moved around the world working in India, China, and the US, and then I went back to school here.
And where was your, other than the United States, of course, what was your favorite country?
I would say Mongolia.
Mongolia, you
Yes.
didn't mention that. Yeah,
It
we
is
had
a
a member in our club that was actually, that lived in Mongolia, and another one that was actually a resident of Mongolia for a while. And isn't it amazing how many international people we have in our clubs? Do you have any international folks in your Toastmasters club?
Absolutely. Every speech, every evaluation, you hear a slightly different accent, and I think when I walk into the club, I know I'm at the
It's
United
really a great
Nations.
experience. Gopi, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, now our evaluator for Gopi, our second evaluator, is Jim Griffin, who is also a member of Surf City Toastmasters Club in Santa Cruz. And Jim is a seasoned veteran, and he's been a member of Toastmasters for 19 years and has achieved Toastmasters' highest recognition, which is Distinguished Toastmaster. He was also the District 4 Evaluation Contest winner back in 2003. So he's really good at this, and he'll now evaluate Gopi Kallayil.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, and especially Gopi, congratulations on delivering a successful persuasive speech with such power equivalent to 6 cups of coffee. Your objectives, I would say that you met your objectives. Those were, 1, to appeal to the audience interest. 2nd, to use both logic and emotion to support your position. And 3rd, to persuade the audience to your point of view or to take action. Let's look first at appealing to the audience interests. I think you picked a great subject because we all want to feel that sense of power of being able to help someone less fortunate than us. And you started your speech with a great attention grabber. He mentioned 7 billion people and pulled out 4 visible dollar bills and equated it to something as simple as a single cup of coffee. After that first line, the entire audience, you had their attention. You mentioned Kiva, and that told us a central point that you were going to be speaking to. So you certainly had our interest. How did you support your position? You used both logic, how $25 could do so much in a microloan situation, have such a large impact, but mostly you used emotional appeal. By bringing real people into this speech, the woman from Kenya with 5 children, or the 6 women working as tailors in Pakistan, from all over the world, you brought in specific examples. This touches us, connects us with these people, and we can realize the ease of this. So you did persuade me. In way of suggestion, I might offer one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that great evaluation. Today you have heard 2 excellent speeches. Each fulfilled one of the required speech projects from the Competent Communicator Manual. When all 10 projects are completed, the speaker will have achieved Toastmasters designation of Competent Communicator. You also heard 2 evaluations of those speeches by Toastmasters peers who are experienced and qualified to provide constructive feedback to help the speakers improve their skills. We at Toastmasters Beta Bay hope that you have enjoyed this presentation, and we want you to visit the websites on your screen to get more information about Toastmasters.